My parents wanted their adopted son to marry the paralyzed heiress of a New York dynasty, but they're forcing me, their biological son, to fulfill the marriage contract instead. I numbly lifted my gaze to the backyard. Two silhouettes were busy setting off fireworks, doing everything they could to make the adopted son happy. It was a picture-perfect family moment, but it filled my heart with a profound, chilling sorrow. My own sister, who once adored me, and the girl I grew up with, the one who said she'd only ever marry me, they both now orbited him. Fine, I'll do it. I managed a faint smile and nodded. This home, which never truly felt like mine, was something I was ready to leave behind. And I would make them pay a terrible price for it. Leo, are you serious? You really agree? Hearing my answer, my mother, Sarah Miller, looked at me as if she couldn't trust her own ears. When has Leo ever gone back on his word? My father, David, cut in, clearly anxious to stop my mother before I changed my mind. He immediately picked up the phone to inform the Thorne family that the Millers would honor the agreement. Oh, the voice on the other end of the line sounded surprised. Your adopted son, Caleb, has agreed? My father's face flushed with embarrassment. Well, a matter of this importance, we couldn't possibly leave it to an outsider. It will be my biological son, Leo. As if you didn't change the contract to be between me and the Thorne heiress in the first place, I thought with a silent, bitter laugh. Funny how when it comes to something that could ruin a man's life, Caleb suddenly becomes an outsider. The truth is, the marriage contract was originally between me and the Thorne family's daughter. 5 years ago, she was in a car accident that left her paralyzed from the waist down. My parents, horrified at the thought of me marrying a paraplegic, went to a group home and adopted Caleb, an orphan a month younger than me. The plan was for him to take my place and marry into the Thorne family. At the time, I was deeply in love with my childhood sweetheart, Chloe Anderson, and she loved me back. Of course, I didn't object to my parents' scheme. So, the marriage arrangement was transferred to Caleb. For years, the Thornes never brought up. Then, 2 years ago, they revived the topic. That's when Caleb, who had masterfully charmed his way into everyone's hearts, suddenly changed his tune. He threw tantrums, threatened self-harm, and refused to marry the Thorne heiress. My parents spent every day coddling him, trying to cheer him up, promising they would find a way to cancel the contract. My sister, Olivia, who used to spoil me rotten, became his staunchest defender, buying him anything he wanted. And Chloe, the love of my life, stopped paying any attention to me. She even laughed and flirted with Caleb right in front of my face, completely radiant in his presence. Last month, the Thorne family delivered an ultimatum. The wedding had to happen soon, or they would sever all business ties with the Millers. Trapped, my parents turned their attention back to me, their marginalized biological son. Since I'd already lost love, what did I have to lose by agreeing? Excellent. Have Leo ready. The wedding will be in 7 days. Mr. Thorne, the head of the family, stated his terms and hung up. My father turned to me, a relieved smile on his face. Leo, Mr. Thorne said the wedding is in a week. Don't feel too pressured. Besides her disability, Ms. Thorne is a wonderful person. Besides, the Thornes are one of the most powerful families in New York. Marrying her is hardly a loss for you. A wedding. Just then, Chloe burst into the room. She looked at me, her eyes narrowed with suspicion. Leo, who are you marrying? My parents exchanged an awkward glance. It's nothing. My father explained hastily. I was just saying that in a week, I'm going to New York myself to officially cancel the marriage contract with the Thornes. Chloe's face lit up. That's amazing. I have to tell Caleb. He won't have to worry about marrying a cripple anymore. She spun around and ran back toward the front door, a joyful smile on her face as she shared the news with Caleb. Caleb, overcome with emotion, pulled her into a tight hug and burst into tears. Chloe gently patted his back, whispering words of comfort. Leo, my mother began, looking at me with hesitation. She finally found her words. I know you and Chloe have deep feelings for each other, but I hope you won't mention the wedding for now. I'm afraid she'll make a scene if she finds out, and that will just upset Caleb again. A cold laugh echoed in my mind. Right now, I desperately wanted to ask David and Sarah Miller who their real son was. But I knew it was pointless. Starting 5 years ago, Caleb had stolen everything from me. My parents, my sister, and the woman I loved. I, Leo Miller, was a real foster child. I was less than a stranger. Fortunately, in 7 days, I would be free of this prison they called a home. I would leave and never look back, severing all ties with the Millers and Chloe Anderson forever. Leo, my sister Olivia's voice cut through the air from the doorway. Caleb is craving one of those spicy chicken sandwiches from downtown. Go get one for him. You know the one. Olivia ordered, gesturing impatiently for me to go get Caleb his food. I looked at her, my voice flat. I'm busy. You. Olivia seethed, grinding her teeth. What's that supposed to mean? Is it such a burden to do one small thing for Caleb? Olivia, maybe we should just forget it. Caleb said, his voice laced with manufactured disappointment. It's a long way downtown. It's not right to make Leo walk all that way. That set Olivia off. No, I'm getting him that sandwich today. Leo, if you don't bring it back, you can forget about eating with us tonight. Chloe stepped in to play peacemaker. Leo, Caleb twisted his ankle and can't walk. Just do him this one favor, okay? Be good. She shot me a warning glance. I knew what she meant. Don't do anything to upset Caleb, or he might have another depressive episode. Depression? Huh. If Caleb Vance had depression, I'd personally twist my own head off and let him use it as a toilet. Just hold on. 7 more days, and I'm out of this disgusting place. Then we'll see who gets the last laugh. Fine, I'll go, I agreed. But I don't have any money. One of you will have to spot me. You don't have money? Olivia's brow furrowed. Leo, if you don't want to go, just say so. Don't make up pathetic excuses. Have you no shame? Mom and Dad give you a couple $100 a month for allowance, don't they? You don't have any other expenses. How can you have no money? I just stood there in silence. Maybe. Leo spent it all on video games at the land center. Caleb suggested with a faint, knowing smile. He pulled out a card and offered it to me. Bro, I've been saving up. There's still $1,000 on this card. You can have it. Saving up? He got $10,000 a month in living expenses, and Olivia and Chloe bought him everything he wore and ate. He was proud of having $1,000 left. What did that make me? For the past 2 years, my allowance had been cut to nothing. Where the hell was I supposed to get money? But I had to take the 1,000. It was free money. I reached out, took the card, and turned to leave. Caleb was clearly stunned that someone as proud as me would actually take his money. His lip twitched, and he put on a wounded expression. Bro, please try to be frugal with it. I was saving that to buy presents for Olivia and Chloe. Damn it, this two-faced manipulator was at it again, trying to start more trouble. Leo, as expected, Olivia's furious shout came right on cue. Why can't you be more like Caleb? Wouldn't it kill you to be a little responsible and save money? You're such a hopeless case, wasting your time on video games. You never learn. Give that car back to Caleb right now. It was true, I went to the land center every day, but not to play games. So you're saying you don't want a sandwich? I shrugged, handing the card back to Caleb. Fine by me. Saves me the trip. I turned and started walking toward my room in the basement. Leo, wait. Chloe suddenly grabbed my arm. I paused, confused. She hadn't touched me like this in 2 years. I have some money here. Chloe pressed a bank card in my hand and gave me a meaningful look. Just go get the sandwich for Caleb. Please. How much is on the card? I asked coolly, glancing down at it. Chloe seemed taken aback by the question. Her expression faltered for a second. It's 50,000. The pin is Caleb's birthday. A flicker of triumph ignited within me. 50,000. Yes, that should be more than enough. I'm going. Just wait. Without another glance, I walked out of the house. The moment I was outside, I pulled out my phone and called an old friend. Whoa, a ghost. After all these years, what made you think of calling me? My friend Ben's cheerful voice came through the line. Ben Carter was my best friend. We, along with Chloe, had grown up together. We used to hang out all the time. But after Caleb arrived, we drifted apart. 2 years ago, we lost contact completely. Hearing his voice warmed my heart. Get out here. I'm treating you to a night on the town. By night on the town, you mean the kind that ended a strip club? Ben joked. Normally, I would have cursed him out for being a degenerate. You son of a bitch, you really are my brother. I laughed. The old spot. First, a feast, then the club, then whatever else. The whole 9 yards. I'm paying. Holy crap. Did you hit the lottery? Ben's voice was a mix of shock and excitement. I'm on my way. 10 minutes. I hung up, a smile on my face. I glanced back at the house behind me, and a cold smirk spread across my lips. As of right now, I, Leo Miller, have nothing to do with you people. I hailed a cab and headed for our old haunt. I had made up my mind. I wasn't going back to that cage for the next few days. I had made up my mind. I wasn't going back to that cage for the next few days. I hailed a cab and headed for our old haunt. I had made up my mind. I wasn't going back to that cage for the next few days. Then we'll see who gets the last laugh. Then we'll see who gets the last laugh. Fine, I'll go, I agreed. But I don't have any money. One of you will have to spot me. Leo Miller. And a cold smirk spread across my lips. With $50,000, I could just get a hotel room and wait for the Thorne family to come pick me up. It's not like anyone at home would even notice I was gone. Leo. As soon as I walked into the steakhouse, Ben Carter waved me over. Hey, Benny, did you turn over a new leaf? You've lost a lot of weight, I said, looking him over. The kid had definitely slimmed down. Ugh, don't even ask, Ben sighed dramatically. These past 2 years, I've been wasting away from missing you, man. I rolled my eyes and sat down. I ordered a massive spread of all our favorite dishes, porterhouse steaks, lobster, the works. I also ordered 2 bottles of top-shelf whiskey, one for each of us. The bill was easily going to be over $3,000. Damn, Ben's eyes were wide with envy. Did you strike it rich? How'd you get your parents to give you this much cash? Ben's family was well off, but he was prone to gaining weight, so his parents kept him on a tight leash with his allowance, afraid he'd spend it all on junk food. It's not from them. I shook my head. Chloe gave it to me. Are you two getting married? Ben's jaw dropped. Holy crap. I'm finally going to get to see you two tie the knot. I shook my head again, a small smile playing on my lips. No, the person she's marrying is Caleb. What? Ben slammed his hand on the table. That piece of trash, Caleb? He's not worthy of marrying Chloe. He paused, his face scrunched in confusion. Wait, you and her are childhood sweethearts. Isn't Caleb supposed to marry that thorn heiress from New York? Seeing Ben so worked up and indignant on my behalf, I didn't say anything. I just kept smiling. I thought it would hurt, but it didn't. Not even the fact that I was about to be married off to a paralyzed woman I'd never even met. My phone suddenly buzzed. It was Olivia. I didn't need to answer no. She was calling to ask if I'd dropped dead, since I hadn't returned with the damn sandwich yet. I declined the call. A flood of texts followed. I powered my phone off completely. Cheers. I raised my glass and clinked it against Ben's. He was watching me with a complicated expression. I downed a whiskey in one go. After we had our fill, I paid the bill, and we stumbled out of the restaurant, arms slung over each other's shoulders. Let's go. Next stop, Noir Lounge. Noir Lounge was a high-end club downtown. It had live bands, a dance floor, and private VIP rooms. Most importantly, the quality of the cocktail waitresses was legendary. Get us a private room, and bring us your best girls. 2 for each of us, I slurred to the manager. The manager looked at me skeptically, but after I swiped the card for a few $1,000s worth of champagne, his attitude changed completely. Noir, you pay first, you play later. You stay, the rest of you get out. Bring in another group. I commanded, feeling the power of money. I picked a girl who looked younger and more innocent than the others and dismissed the rest, cycling through several groups until we were satisfied. This wasn't a big city, so there weren't any minor celebrities or influencers, but the selection was decent. Soon, we had our company. We partied until 1 a.m, and by then, we were both completely wasted. The manager came back to settle the final bill. We still owed for the girls' time. We hadn't picked the most expensive ones, but for 4 of them, it was still over $20,000. Plus the tips I promised, the total was at least $30,000. Swipe. Swipe the card, I said grandly, tossing Chloe's card to the manager. He smiled, quickly entered the amount, and asked me for the PIN. I still remembered it. Caleb's birthday was burned into my memory. A month younger than me. Beep. Card declined. The cold, electronic voice of the POS machine cut through the haze, and the room fell silent. I shook my head, trying to clear it. What? What's going on? Did I enter the wrong PIN? Here you try. 2-0-0-1-0-5. The manager tried again. His expression darkened. Sir, are you going to settle this bill or not? As he spoke, several large men in black suits entered the room, surrounding us. The threat sobered me up instantly. Ben was in a similar state, but he instinctively moved to stand in front of me, staring nervously at the imposing figures. Leo, what's happening? The card was working fine before, what now? Oomph, the manager snorted. Your card isn't working. Use another one. I felt my pockets. This is the only one I have, I said, embarrassed. There's over $20,000 on it. Why isn't it working? We'd had our fun, but now we were in deep trouble. Ben was broke, I was broke. What were we going to do? With no other option, I was about to turn my phone on to ask Chloe what was wrong with the card. Is there a problem? A cool, commanding woman's voice came from the doorway. I looked up, and both Ben and I froze. We had never seen a woman with such regal bearing, such stunning beauty, and such a perfect figure. Her deep purple silk dress was slit high on the thigh, revealing long, elegant legs. Her oval face was flawless, her almond-shaped eyes narrowing slightly as she looked at me. For a split second, I thought I saw a flicker of excitement in her expression, but it was quickly replaced by an icy composure. The manager started to greet her, but she silenced him with a wave of her hand. What's the matter? Had your fun, and now you don't want to pay? She swayed over to me, her hips moving with a hypnotic grace. Her voice was laced with playful mockery. No, I just don't know what's wrong with my card. I averted my gaze, not daring to meet her eyes. but I couldn't stop my peripheral vision from stealing glances at her. Impressive chest. The card isn't broken. It's been frozen. Her voice was melodic, but the words were a death knell. Frozen? Did Chloe do this? The first charge for a few thousand went through. The champagne for another few thousand also went through. Why freeze it now? Was she that petty? The woman saw my predicament and sneered. So, tell me, how do you plan to settle your debt? Should I have my men cripple you and throw you in the street? Or would you prefer to sell yourself? I'll do the selling. Don't you dare touch my friend. Ben stood his ground, glaring defiantly at the beautiful woman. You? She laughed dismissively. You're not my type. She reached out, tilting my chin up with her finger, as if she were seducing a maiden. Tell you what, little boy, I'll give you a chance. If you can please me, I might just consider waiving the bill. I swallowed hard, the sound echoing loudly in the silent room. I cursed myself for being so pathetic. But damn it, this woman was intoxicating. A perfect face, a killer body, seductive eyes, and a voice that could melt steel. What man wouldn't, right? If serving her for a night meant getting out of this mess, it might be worth it. Besides, I was already being sold to Ms. Thorne. Why not have one last wild night before the end? Well, I thought for a moment, then put on a look of feigned reluctance. I'd rather not be crippled. I'll do my best to serve you well. Before leaving, I made her promise to let Ben go. She agreed. MMS. Thorne, you can't. The manager panicked when he saw the woman was about to take me away. Ms. Thorne? This woman's last name was Thorne? Was she the owner of the club? Or the owner's daughter? Maybe I'd been out of the loop for too long, but I didn't know there was a powerful Thorne in Riverton. Whatever. I crossed that bridge when I came to it. First, I had survived the night. And so, in a daze, I followed her. Leo Miller? In the presidential suite, the beautiful woman sat with her legs crossed, her eyes full of amusement as she looked at me. A jolt went through me. How did she know my name? Ms. Thorne. I stammered, my mouth dry. She ignored me, rising gracefully to pour 2 glasses of red wine. Here, have a drink with me. I took a deep breath and accepted the glass, clinking it gently against hers. I noticed that while her face was calm, her eyes held a trace of excitement and nervousness. Ms. Thorne, how would you like me to serve you? After a glass of wine, my courage grew, and I took the initiative. After all, a $30,000 debt was on the line. One night, for a woman like this, wasn't a bad deal at all. But for some reason, she felt intensely familiar. My name is Seraphina Thorne. She held her glass and walked toward me. Seraphina Thorne? That name, it was the exact same name as the heiress from New York. I looked at her smile, and in that moment, a powerful sense of déjà vu washed over me. She couldn't be the Seraphina Thorne, could she? The thought arose, but I quickly dismissed it. The Thorne heiress had been in a car accident. She was paralyzed, and she was in New York. How could she possibly be in Riverton, let alone run into me here? It had to be a coincidence. Seraphina glanced at my phone, which was vibrating nonstop on the table. That's been buzzing all night. Aren't you going to answer it? She asked with a light laugh. Answer what? I picked up my phone without even looking at the screen and turned it off. He. Seraphina suddenly giggled. The cold, aloof demeanor vanished, replaced by an almost girlish charm. Well then, let's have another drink. After several more glasses, Seraphina's cheeks were flushed, and she seemed a little drunk. I wasn't much better, but I remember my mission for the night and knew I had to be proactive. What? What are you doing? Seraphina clutched her chest. Her face beat red as she looked up at me. The high-slit dress, the silk, that exquisite face, those wide, watery eyes. Seeing her like this, my head spun. To hell with it. I leaned in and kissed her. My mind went blank for a second, but then I was lost. Damn it. Seraphina's hands gripped my shoulders tightly, her nails digging into my flesh. The rest of the night was a blur. The next day, when I woke up, Seraphina was already awake. 2 steaming cups of coffee and a box of donuts sat on the dining table. The perks of a presidential suite. Everything was taken care of. You're up. Seraphina's hair was damp, and she was wrapped in a bathrobe. A faint blush crept up her cheeks, and her eyes shone with happiness. He, like what you see? She giggled, seeing my dumbstruck expression. All right, you big dummy, get up and have some breakfast. She gently helped me out of bed. I was still exhausted from last night's drinking. I sat down at the table, a question forming in my mind. How did you know I like coffee and donuts for breakfast? Of course I like them too. Seraphina stammered. I frowned slightly, but my stomach was empty, so I didn't press the issue. After breakfast, I took a shower. When I came back, I found Seraphina cutting a piece of the bedsheet with a pair of scissors. Oh God, I thought. She was experienced. I'm sorry, I didn't know you were. My voice trailed off, and a wave of anxiety washed over me. I was about to marry the thorn heiress in New York. I couldn't be responsible for her. Besides, I had nothing. Why did I have to be responsible for anyone? Serafina turned and shot me a playful eye roll. Look who's talking. You couldn't even find the door. Seeing her coy expression, I couldn't help but laugh. 5 days passed in a blur. I kept my phone off for 5 whole days. They were 5 days of peace, the happiest 5 days of my life. On the 6th day, she told me she had to go home. There was something urgent she needed to prepare for. And it was time for me to go home and wait for the Thorn family. Will we see each other again? I asked reluctantly as we were about to part. Serafina smiled. We will. And when we do, I'll have a surprise for you. I didn't know what her surprise was, but I knew that once I was married into the Thorn family in New York, I would likely never see her again. It was a shame. When I arrived at the Miller house, the atmosphere was heavy. Leo, where the hell have you been? The first person to greet me was my mother, Sarah, her face contorted with rage. My father, David, stood behind her with a grim expression, but for the first time in 5 years, he wasn't yelling at me. Olivia glared at me. Leo, you had Mom and Dad worried sick. They almost called the police. But they didn't, did they? I retorted with a cold smirk. Leo, Chloe's voice was ice. You have disappointed me more than I can say. Caleb, the green tea sipping snake, was playing the role of peacemaker. Olivia, Chloe, it's okay. As long as Leo is back, that's all that matters. Don't be too hard on him. You hear that? Olivia snapped, her glare intensifying. If you were half as considerate as Caleb, then maybe. I cut her off, my eyes locking onto hers. Say one more word, and I swear I'll slap you. Olivia flinched. She was about to explode, but a sharp look from my father silenced her. Are the Thorns here yet? David asked my mother, frowning. They said they'll be here any minute, Sarah replied quickly, then turned her glare back to me. What are you waiting for? Go change your clothes. I stepped into the house, but Chloe followed me. I stopped and turned to face her. Leo, I need to talk to you, she said hastily. From the corner of my eye, I could see Caleb's expression of pure schadenfreude. I ignored her and walked straight to the basement. As I opened the door, a musty odor hit us, and Chloe instinctively covered her nose and mouth. You live in a place like this? Her words almost made me laugh. After all these years, you're only just now realizing where I live. If you can't stand it, then get out. I walked over to my closet, a simple metal rack, and thoughtfully considered my 2 options. Should I wear the school uniform or this tracksuit? I was genuinely torn. These are the only 2 outfits you have. Chloe's voice trembled. Sigh. I let out a breath and ultimately chose the tracksuit. The school uniform was too old and didn't fit anymore. The tracksuit was a gift Chloe had given to Caleb. He wore it once and then threw in the trash. I'd fished it out. Thinking about it now, it was utterly humiliating. Serafina had bought me a ton of new clothes over the past few days, but I hadn't brought them back. I'd already packed them and had them shipped to a UPS store near the Thorn estate. I'm changing. Are you going to get out or not? I held up the tracksuit and glared at Chloe. A panicked look flashed across Chloe's face. Leo, what has been going on with you all these years? I held up a hand to stop her. What? You want to hear me tell a joke? Or would you rather I lie to you? And no. Chloe shook her head vigorously, her face filled with guilt. I honestly had no idea that you were living like this. There was a time when her eyes were only for me, when she would never let me suffer any injustice. But in recent years, she had stopped asking about my life. I scoffed. Don't you worry about me. I'm doing just fine. I'm so sorry. Chloe lowered her head, hiding her expression. Then she looked up at me again. But don't worry. I promise I'll make it up to you. Caleb's depression has been better these past few days. As soon as you get back from New York after canceling the engagement with your dad, I'll marry you. I chuckled softly and started changing my clothes. My upper body was thin, almost gaunt, and crisscrossed with scars. Over the past 5 years, David Miller had punished me countless times. These scars were the best evidence I had for the revenge I was planning. Leo, Chloe's voice was strained, her shocked eyes welling up with tears. These scars. Where do they come from? I said mockingly. You can thank your precious Caleb for them. Chloe staggered back, her face a mask of disbelief. She took a few hesitant steps toward me, reached out a trembling hand to trace the old and new scars, her vision blurring with tears. Does it hurt? I found her behavior bizarre. Had she forgotten that she was the one who said we had to keep our distance to avoid triggering Caleb's illness? This is nothing. I sneered, grabbing her hand and pressing it against my chest. This is where it hurts more. With that, I ignored her and finished changing. Chloe opened her mouth to say something, but no words came out. As I started to change my pants, she quickly turned away. Her voice, quiet and strained, came from behind me. Leo, if you were just as obedient as Caleb, you wouldn't have gotten hurt so badly. In the future, you should. Chloe, I couldn't take it anymore and roared. Can you just get out? Chloe spun around, her face a picture of disbelief. You yelled at me? Leo, you've never yelled at me like that before. How could you? Her voice rose in pitch. You brought all these injuries on yourself. Who do you have to blame but yourself? You're the eldest son of the Miller family. Caleb is just adopted. Do you really need to target him like this? Chloe, I was shaking with rage. I lifted my shirt again, pointing at the tapestry of scars. You see this one? This is from when Caleb said, I stole Dad's watch. He almost beat me to death. This one, from when Caleb said, I stole Olivia's underwear. Almost beaten to death again. And this one, from when he said I spied on you in shower. I almost died that time too. Chloe's face turned ashen with fury. That's enough, Leo. Wasn't that all your own fault? And don't even get me started on the last few days. Taking my money and spending it on women and booze. I am so disappointed in you. She turned and stormed out. If you had checked the security cameras even once, you would have known the truth. Did any of you ever bother to look? I called out to her, retreating back. Chloe's body tensed for a moment, but then she hurried away. I paid her no mind, finished dressing, and headed for the front door. David had just called to say the Thorne family had arrived. I checked my phone. 11 a.m. Yes, it was time to leave. The wedding was scheduled for 11:58 a.m. tomorrow. When I reached the front of the house, a super luxury sedan was already parked there. David, Sarah, Olivia, and Caleb were all bowing and scraping around a middle-aged man. Chloe was nowhere to be seen. Mr. Miller, good day. I am Mr. Thorne's assistant, Mr. Roberts. The middle-aged man greeted me politely when he saw me emerge. His brow furrowed slightly when he noticed I wasn't carrying any luggage. Sir, do you have any important items you'd like to bring with you? I shook my head. My ID is all I need. Sarah, her face a mixture of embarrassment and something else, handed me a small, maroon-colored folio. Leo, this is your personal file. Take it with you. I took it and opened it. My face remained impassive. Inside was my birth certificate and a single bank statement showing a newly opened account in my name alone. The message was clear. What a wonderful parting gift. Mr. Roberts, let's go, I said with a slight smile, turning to get into the car. Leo. Sarah's eyes were glistening with tears, as if she were reluctant to see me go. David turned his back, his expression hidden. I imagined he never wanted to see his worthless son again. Dad, aren't you going to New York with Leo to cancel the engagement? Olivia's surprised voice rang out. Cancel the engagement? Mr. Roberts, who had just opened the car door, paused. His eyes narrowed. Mr. Miller, your intention is to cancel the marriage contract. David waved his hands frantically. Of course not. Leo and Ms. Thorne's wedding is tomorrow. We will definitely be there. Hearing this, Mr. Roberts' expression softened, and he got into the car. Olivia's mouth hung open, her voice trembling. Dad, Mom, how could you? Even if you're not canceling it, it shouldn't be Leo who goes. Caleb was supposed to. So, Olivia didn't want you to marry Ms. Thorne either? Isn't this exactly what she and Chloe wanted? Leo is marrying Ms. Thorne. Just then, Chloe came running out of the house, her face a mess of panic. Mr. Roberts, let's go, I said softly, my gaze withdrawn. The car started, heading for the airport. In the rearview mirror, I could see Chloe and Olivia chasing after us, screaming my name. They even fell. Mr. Roberts, could you please close the window for me? I'd rather not have the stench of desperation blowing in. On the way, my phone vibrated nonstop. It was Chloe calling, but I had no desire to answer. I declined every call. Ding! A text notification. I accidentally opened it. It was from Chloe. Over 100 unread messages. They were all angry, demanding messages from the past few days and new ones that had just arrived. Leo, you tell me right now, is it true you're marrying Ms. Thorne? If you keep playing these hard-to-get games, I'm going to marry Caleb. Answer your phone. Leo, please answer my call. I'm begging you. The messages kept coming, each one more desperate than the last. I had no interest in reading any more. I blocked her number and deleted the conversation. I did the same for the rest of my family and for Caleb. Mr. Roberts, do you think Ms. Thorne will dislike me? I felt a tightness in my chest and threw out a random question to break the silence. How could she? Mr. Robert smiled kindly. The young miss has wanted to marry you since you were children. I pursed my lips, unconvinced. He was probably just trying to comfort me. Sir, may I ask you a question? As we near the airport, Mr. Roberts turned around from the passenger seat to look at me seriously. I nodded, telling him to ask whatever he wanted. You've agreed to marry our young miss. You won't regret it, will you? She is, after all, disabled. His gaze was sharp, as if he could see right through me. Mr. Roberts. I looked at him earnestly. I no longer have a home. My simple sentence brought a look of sympathy to his face. He smiled reassuringly. Don't worry, sir. Ms. Thorne will give you a home. We arrived in New York at 10 o'clock that night. Mr. Roberts drove me to a massive mansion. I was stunned. The Miller's house back in Riverton, a small town, was worth over $1 million. This mansion was several times larger. In a place like New York, where every square inch was gold, this property had to be worth tens of millions. Sir, the young miss purchased this house specifically for you. The deed is in your name. Mr. Roberts opened the grand front door and led me inside. Tomorrow, you will go to the Thorne estate to pick up the bride and bring her back here. I stood frozen in place. A multi-million-dollar mansion, solely in my name? The Thorne family was incredibly generous, but I was still naive. The real shock was yet to come. The master suite was decorated with festive balloons and romantic ornaments. It was warm and inviting, but that wasn't what was important. What was important were the antiques, gold, and jewels scattered around the room. These are all part of the young Mrs. Dowry to you, Mr. Roberts said with a broad smile. Oh, and your best man has been arranged. He will be here tomorrow morning to go over the details with you. For now, I will let you get some rest. I'll see you tomorrow. With that, Mr. Roberts turned and left. I looked around the room, filled with priceless treasures, and felt a pang of bitterness. I had truly sold myself, but damn, was a good price. I turned on my phone to set an alarm. A call from an unknown number came in, and I accidentally swiped to answer. Leo. It was Chloe's panicked, tear-filled voice. Don't hang up, please. I didn't say anything. I just listened. Leo, you can't marry Ms. Thorne. Chloe cried. I'm getting on a plane to New York right now. Wait for me. Chloe, Leo has finally found someone. Why do you have to go bother him? Caleb's voice suddenly interjected from her end of the line. Shut up. Chloe screamed at him. This is all your fault. You're the reason Leo has to go to New York and marry a cripple. I never thought I'd live to see the day Chloe would yell at Caleb. Still, she was a major reason why I was here. Her love, now tainted by Caleb, was worthless to me. If there's nothing else, I'm hanging up. I had no desire to hear their voices. I ended the call. Another call had been trying to get through. I dialed it back. It was answered on the first ring. Leo, it's Serafina Thorne. A cool, commanding woman's voice came from the other end. I don't plan on inviting the Miller family to the wedding. What are your thoughts? That suit me just fine, I chuckled. But the voice, it sounded so familiar. Good, Serafina said, then added, get some rest. And don't forget to come pick me up early tomorrow. That voice was incredibly familiar. It couldn't be her, could it? I shook my head with a smile. It was impossible. The Thorne heiress was paralyzed. How could it be her? Alone in the mansion, I slept soundly. Before dawn the next day, the doorbell rang. I groggily got up to answer it, only to be met with a person I never expected to see. Benny, I exclaimed, pulling him into a tight hug, my eyes blurring with tears. What are you doing here? You're about to get married, and you're still a crybaby. Ben patted my back with mock disgust. Come on, man. I'm your best man today. I'll make sure everything goes smoothly. I was stunned. Mr. Roberts had said Serafina found a best man for me, and it turned out to be my best friend. My curiosity about this unseen bride, Serafina Thorne, deepened. How did she know me so well? An hour later, we were ready. We set off for the Thorne family estate, the place where I would pick up my bride. It was enormous, luxurious, and decorated everywhere in festive red. Leo, you're finally here. A graceful, middle-aged woman with a warm smile greeted us. Quickly, Serafina has been waiting for you. She's that eager? I glanced at Ben, confused. That's your mother-in-law? Ben whispered. And the one behind her, Julian Thorne, the head of the family. Your father-in-law. And the elderly lady, you should call her grandma. So, these were all Serafina's immediate family. Her father was reserved, but the happiness in his eyes was undeniable. Her grandmother's gaze was full of affection. I went around, greeting each of them and collecting red envelopes filled with deeds to properties, keys to luxury cars, stock transfer agreements, and bank cards. I couldn't even hold them all. Ben helped me, a massive grin on his face. Leo, from now on, I'm sticking with you. After introductions to the extended family, I was finally led to Serafina's room. Go on in. I stood before the door, and Ben gave me a push. Honestly, I was nervous, but also a little sad. The Serafina with whom I had spent 6 wild days would now be a thing of the past. I took a deep breath, and for courage, I shouted, "Honey, I'm here to get you." Then, I pushed the door open. On a large, red-draped bed sat a bride with a red veil covering her head. She didn't speak. There was a tradition here. From the moment a bride leaves her home until she arrives at her new one, her feet cannot touch the ground. And since Serafina was paralyzed as her future husband, it was my duty to carry her back to the mansion. Wait a minute. If she's paralyzed, how's she sitting up so straight? The thought flashed through my mind, but was quickly chased away by Ben's urging. I walked over and gently lifted her into my arms. Her body trembled slightly, but with the veil on, I couldn't see her expression. Still, I couldn't shake the feeling that her figure was exactly like the other Seraphinas. For a moment, I had the crazy thought that they were the same person, but there was no time to think. I had to carry her back to our mansion. The journey back was smooth. In the car, Serafina remained silent, but her arms around my neck tightened slightly, as if she were afraid I would leave her. "As Serafina," I said, trying to break the awkward silence. "Call me wife," her cool voice commanded from under the veil. I stumbled over the word. "Wife." She suddenly buried her head in my chest, seemingly pleased with my obedience. My heart clenched. She was about to become my wife. I needed to let go of the past and embrace the future with her. With that thought, I wrapped my arm around her. "Wife, thank you." Screch. The sound of tires screaming against asphalt filled the air. I held on to Serafina tightly to protect her from a jolt. "What the hell? How'd they get here?" Ben, in the passenger seat, cursed loudly. I looked up. Standing in front of our car were 2 women I never wanted to see again. "Are they trying to get themselves killed?" I muttered, my voice cold as I stared at Chloe and Olivia blocking our path. I was also curious. How did they get here? And how did they find us so precisely? "Leo." Chloe banged on the car window, her face etched with panic and desperation. "Get out of the car. Don't do this just to spite me." "She's right, Leo." Olivia chimed in, her expression full of remorse. "You can't ruin your life over a grudge. You'll regret this when it's too late." I remained silent. The woman in my arms asked softly, "Honey, do you want to get out?" "I don't want to," I said, shaking my head firmly. "But I need to. I have to deal with this. Wait for me." "Okay," Serafina replied. "Do you need my help?" "It's nothing I can't handle," I said, giving her hand a gentle squeeze. "Trust your husband. I'll take care of it." Then I got out of the car. Chloe rushed to my side, a look of triumph on her face. "I knew it. I knew you'd get out of the car for me." "Ah," Olivia scoffed confidently. "Leo is so in love with you. Now that you're here in person, how could he possibly keep up the act?" I offered a faint smile. "Today is my wedding day. I'd appreciate it if you two would get out of the way. Benny, give them a red envelope. Let's go." I turned to leave. Chloe's face fell. Just as she was about to speak, bodyguard from another car moved to block her path. "Leo," she cried, tears streaming down her face. "What? What do you mean? You're not coming back with us?" "Leo." Olivia's remorse evaporated, replaced by fury. "We came all this way to beg you. Don't be so ungrateful. We saw the security footage. It was all Caleb. We know we wronged you," she yelled. "But are you completely blameless? You never defend yourself. You never tell us the truth. That's why Mom and Dad—" "Shut up." Ben, standing beside me, could no longer contain himself. "Olivia, what right do you have to say any of that?" Olivia turned red with anger, but before she could retort, Ben cut her off again. "When you were accusing Leo, didn't he try to defend himself? Did you let him speak? And even if he did you listen? You'd rather believe an outsider than your own son, your own brother." Olivia trembled, her face went pale, and her lips quivered, unable to form a response. "Leo, your aunt and uncle know they were wrong now. Please don't hold it against them, okay?" Chloe stepped in, playing the good cop, her words a practice performance. "And you, Chloe Anderson." Ben was on a roll, finally venting all my frustrations for me. "Have you forgotten you promised to marry Leo, and only Leo? What have you been doing for the past 2 years? You flirted with Caleb right in front of Leo, with no sense of decency. Is that what you call love? It's fucking disgusting." Ben finished by spitting on the ground, his eyes filled with contempt. I didn't." Chloe shook her head, tears blurring her vision. I just. I glanced at them one last time and got back in the car. Ben quickly followed. Chloe and Olivia tried to chase us, but the bodyguards held them back, their desperate cries fading behind us. 10 minutes later, the car finally arrived at the mansion. I carried Serafina inside, where 4 housekeepers stood in a neat line, greeting us in unison. Serafina, pulling red envelopes from seemingly nowhere, handed one to each of them, her etiquette impeccable. After placing her on the bed, I found myself slightly out of breath. My body was in terrible shape. "Honey, aren't you going to lift my veil?" Serafina's voice trembled with a mix of shyness and anticipation. I was nervous too. My hand, holding the ceremonial jade scepter, was shaking. After taking a few deep breaths to steady myself, I gently lifted the red veil. An exquisitely beautiful face was revealed. "Holy shit, it's you." My heart felt like it had exploded. I stared at her, completely dumbfounded. "Hee," Serafina giggled. "Why couldn't it be me?" But I was speechless. How can you be her?" Serafina suddenly stood up, planting her hands on her hips in mock anger. "What? You thought you could just use me and throw me away? Or are you not satisfied with your new wife?" I gave a weak, embarrassed laugh, unable to meet her eyes. But I couldn't hide the overwhelming excitement and joy welling up inside me. Satisfied? I was more than satisfied. So, this Serafina really was that Serafina. They were the same person, and she wasn't paralyzed. All right, stop overthinking it," Serafina said, dropping the act and linking her arm through mine. "Come on, let's go get our marriage license. As for the ceremony, I don't want anyone ruining it. So let's just skip it. How about a destination wedding? Just the 2 of us?" I smiled. "Whatever my wife wants." At 11:58 a.m., precisely the time our wedding ceremony was supposed to start, we got our marriage license. "Let's go, our adventure starts now." As soon as we stepped out of City Hall, Serafina pulled me toward the car. "El Leo," a trembling voice called out from behind us. How could you really marry her? You promised you would marry me. Have you forgotten?" Serafina and I turned around. Chloe stood there, her face streaked with tears. Olivia was beside her, her expression complicated and unreadable. I decided it was time to cut these ties for good. "Chloe," I said, walking toward her, my face a blank mask. "El Leo, you love me, don't you? How could you marry her?" she pleaded. "I promise, I'll never see Caleb again. Please, don't do this just to hurt me." When I didn't respond, Chloe dropped to her knees. "Leo, I'm begging you, divorce her, please. We can get married right away. I'll do anything you want." "No," I said flatly. "The woman I loved died 2 years ago. And no, it's not like that." Chloe shook her head, desperately trying to explain. "I only treated Caleb that way because I thought he was taking your place in the marriage. Once he was gone, I was going to make it all up to you. I was going to marry you." I held up a hand. "It doesn't matter anymore. The person you should be marrying is that peeping Tom, Caleb, not me. My wife's name is Serafina Thorne. She's this beautiful, wealthy woman right here, and I couldn't be happier. Oh, and by the way, I wish you and Caleb the best. May you two be locked together for eternity." Chloe collapsed on the pavement, her face a portrait of utter despair. Without a second glance, I walked over to the silent Olivia. "Olivia, my dear sister." "Oh wait, you stopped being my sister 5 years ago. Tell me, did you ever find the scumbag who stole your underwear? Or the thief who took Dad's watch?" Olivia staggered, and tears burst from her eyes. "A little brother, I'm sorry. We were wrong about you. Please, don't be like this with us." That apology came far too late. "It's too late," I sneered. I turned and walked away, a silent vow hardening in my heart. For every bit of suffering I endured over the past 5 years, I would repay them in kind. Serafina and I went on our honeymoon. We traveled for a whole month. Along the way, I learned a lot of new things, mastered many new skills, and enjoyed every moment. At the same time, I handed over all the assets the Thorne family had given me to Ben, letting him manage them. It didn't matter if he made a profit or a loss. The only goal was to crush the Miller Corporation before he ran out of money. Ben gave me daily updates. He told me that after Chloe returned to Riverton, she locked herself in her room, and her parents were beside themselves with worry. David and Sarah, dealing with a catatonic Olivia, had confined her to her room as well. The Miller Corporation was now entirely in Caleb's hands. Excellent. That made my plan even easier to execute. "Honey, Ben says the Millers took the bait," Serafina murmured, tracing patterns on my chest and licking her lips. Over the past month, although my body had been thoroughly exhausted, it had also been well-nourished. I had actually gained some muscle, and the faint outline of six-pack was emerging. I stroked her hair. "It won't be long now. Perhaps. There will be a surprise waiting for us when we get back." A month later, Serafina and I returned. Ben picked us up from the airport. "Leo, boss lady." Ben was glowing with success. Thorne Miller Enterprises went head-to-head with the Miller Corporation. Total victory. By total victory, he meant that not only had our new company not lost any money, but it had driven the Miller Corporation into bankruptcy. I knew that Ben's and my efforts alone couldn't have achieved this so easily. The Thorne family had stepped in. Or rather, my wife had. Now, the Miller house was besieged by creditors. Their mansion had been auctioned off. I heard that the family of 4 had moved in with the Andersons. They tried to contact me, but they could neither find me nor reach me. Half a month passed. I heard that Caleb, in a fit of rage, had assaulted both Chloe and Olivia. Olivia, unable to bear the shame, jumped from a building and killed herself. Chloe went insane. While Caleb was asleep, she bashed his head in with a hammer, then took a boning knife and methodically carved the flesh from his body, piece by piece, giving a new meaning to the phrase flesh and blood. When the police found Chloe, she was completely incoherent, muttering over and over again, "It was my fault. I shouldn't have changed my mind." Suspecting severe psychological issues, they sent her to a psychiatric hospital. Upon seeing the gruesome scene, David Miller had a massive coronary and died on the spot. Sarah, unable to cope with the shock, suffered a complete physical breakdown. It was unlikely she would live much longer. Hearing this news, I felt a flicker of emotion, but not a single shred of pity. They say that pitiful people often have a hateful side. In these past 5 years, haven't I tasted every bitterness life has to offer? The only difference is I knew how to protect myself. I didn't let them kill me. I looked up at the bright, sunny sky and slowly exhaled. Wife, having you is the best thing that's ever happened to me. I turned and hugged Serafina. But can you finally tell me, what was the real story with your legs? Serafina's face flushed red. She told me that the car accident 5 years ago was real, and her legs were indeed paralyzed. But they had healed 2 years ago. When she heard the marriage was being transferred away from me, she lost all interest in the arrangement. Later, when she heard that Caleb was refusing to marry her and was making my life a living hell, the Thorne family gave things a little push, making David Miller so desperate that he had no choice but to come to me. "Honey, I would only ever marry you. No one else is worthy. Hee." Serafina's smile was radiant, and the mischievous glint in her eyes looked exactly like that of a childhood playmate I once knew. Wait, a playmate? Peanut. I thought for a moment, then called out the old nickname. El Leo. Tears streamed down Serafina's face as she buried herself in my arms, sobbing. "You finally remember me?" Yes, I remembered. Serafina Thorne was the little girl who used to trail behind me and Chloe all those years ago, our little tag-along. "I've been waiting for you to marry me for a very, very long time," Serafina said, looking up at me with a tear-streaked, pouting face. I gently wiped her tears away with my thumb. "When we get home, let's research which methods are most effective for making a baby. Peanut, for the rest of our lives, I'm all yours."